Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me for part two of our series entitled Variability for Adaptability. So, really playing with movement patterns, especially variable movement patterns, and this idea of reversibility, moving things forward and then reversing that movement and bringing ourselves all the way out until we start to kind of own that movement. So for this practice, we are going to start to build ourselves a little bit further away from the floor, which means we're going to start to activate a little bit of core strength to really support us as we start to grow ourselves a little bit further away from the gravitational pull of Earth. We are going to need a blanket if you like to have a little padding underneath your knees. We'll be on the knees a little bit today. And we're going to have two blocks. So I've got one block over here. And of course, I am seated on a block right now. So grab your two blocks. Those will be necessary for this practice. You can start to come off of your block if you were seated on one. Place it off to the side. And let's go ahead and come down onto our backs. We're going to move through a series of progressions and then regressions and start to warm up the joints around the legs, start to activate a little bit of this beautiful core strength. I like to call this your capacity. And then that's going to help us with this reversibility. So go ahead and come down onto your back. I'll meet you here. And as we come down, let's bring your left knee in towards your chest. You can interlace your hands around your shin. Stretch your right leg all the way out on your mat. And then as you're in this position, kind of hugging this left knee in, stretching right leg out and away, we've got this sense of kind of moving these legs in opposite directions. Let's pause here and draw some circles with your ankle and maybe start to feel with a little sense of gratitude, these muscles kind of moving around underneath your fingertips. You can feel your shins activating, your calves activating. Maybe build a little bit of heat, kind of wake them up, bring them online, do another circle or two. And then we're going to move through these bigger joints of the knee and the hip as we start to extend your left leg up to the sky. Get a nice big stretch for your hamstrings. And then hug that left knee back in towards your chest. Right? Apanasana is what we call this. Right? Activating some movement into the knees, some movement into the hips. This is certainly moving in our sagittal plane of motion. So this is a forward and backward movement that we're very familiar with, right? It's like walking or similar to riding a bike, maybe even sitting in a chair and extending through your knee. Let's do one more like this, kind of warming up. And then we're going to meet with this left knee hugging in towards your chest. And I would really like for us to switch these legs in midair. So you're going to bring your right knee in as you stretch your left leg all the way out, right? Feeling that extension, that sort of counter movement. And then start to draw these circles again with your ankle, feeling those muscles underneath your hands. And you kind of draw these circles forward and back, maybe moving through some plantar and dorsiflexion with your ankle. All right, let's find our extension and flexion here. So starting to stretch your right leg up and then hug your left knee in towards your chest. And we're going to move through that a few more times, stretching up and hugging your knee back in towards your chest. Yep, notice that this is a pretty familiar movement pattern. We feel pretty calm here. Breath is good. We're supported by the ground beneath us. We're out of gravity. All right, the next time that you have your right knee hugging in, let's pause. And we're going to come back to this idea of switching in midair. So I want you to bring your left knee in towards your chest as you stretch your right leg out. But don't let your right leg go all the way to the floor. In fact, let's hover the right leg above the floor and do a little heel thrust, kind of reaching that right foot away from your left leg. And then switch your legs again. And find your heel thrust on the left. And then let's settle into a little rhythm here, alternating side to side. Definitely getting this sense of kind of walking or riding a bike, right? Sagittal plane. All right, I am going to give us an option here for a progression, right? You're going to keep alternating these legs side to side, but start to lift your head and heart. So this is what we would call a closed kinetic chain. You're taking your hands to your shins, but we're starting to activate a little more core. I'm going to give us one more progression, and that would be to take your hands behind your head, which makes an open kinetic chain. And this takes a little more muscle. So we're not going to be here forever. Let's see if we can activate a little bit of that core. And then you're going to take your hands back to your shins. We'll keep head and heart lifted. So these are our regressions. All right, you can keep alternating legs, lower head and heart back to the earth. All right, we're all the way kind of back where we started here. Let's go one more time, left knee in. One more time, right knee in. And then we're going to meet with two knees in towards the chest. Give yourself a sweet little hug. Now we've got some activation going in your hip flexors, in your core, in your hip flexor core system. So they're integrated and online. All right, let's release your feet to the floor. Walk your feet out wide and let's drop these knees in towards center. We're going to start to play with a really simple reversible movement. So you're going to open these arms all the way out into a T. Feet are wide, knees are dropping in towards center. And let's bring your right hand and place it on top of your heart. Little bit of slide and glide here. You're going to slide this right hand along the inner seam of your left leg. Let it roll, or left arm, let it roll you onto your left side. Knees drop to the left. And you're going to reach your right fingertips way past your left fingertips. Nice stretch to the abdominal muscles. And then reverse that movement. Slide the right hand back across the left. That rolls you back onto your back. Eventually, knees come back to center, and you're going to extend that right arm all the way out to the right. All right, let's switch sides. So left hand comes to heart. Slide and glide. Left hand goes across the right arm. You roll to the right, drop the knees to the right, reach left fingertips way past the right. And then reverse that movement. Slide the left hand back along the inner seam of your right arm, rolling onto your back, bringing your knees to center and coming back to your start. So this is very simple. Let's play with this again. We're going to take right hand to heart. Slide the right hand along the inner seam of your left arm. Drop your knees to the left. Roll to the left. Reach. Stretch it like you mean it. And then glide that right hand all the way back to your heart. Knees come back to center. You're going to pause here as you extend that right arm out, coming all the way back to the place where we started. And let's do that one more time. Left hand to heart, gliding left hand across the right arm, rolling to the right, dropping knees to the right. Reach your left fingertips way past the right. And then glide it all the way back to center, reversing that movement pattern and coming back to the place where you started. All right, let's start to heel toe these feet back in. And let's take this into a little bit of a bigger variable movement pattern. You're going to roll to your right or your left, press through your hands, start to bring yourself back up. And let's take a moment, if you're using a blanket, to fold this blanket back so that you have something underneath your knees. And let's grab these two blocks now, and we're going to take these blocks on their medium setting underneath your hands. So we're in kind of a stilted tabletop position. And then from here, let's stretch your left leg back. Maybe take a moment to kind of rock forward and back here, stretching your feet, a little more stretch for calves. It's always nice. And then from here, we're going to pause, and you're going to start to float your left leg up. So this is what we call half bird dog. All right, I want you to use your breath. We're going to find a nice big in-breath. And on your exhale, step that left foot through between your blocks. And let's do a little shifting forward and a little shift up and back. And we're going to do that again, shifting forward and lifting hips up and back. All right, pause in the center and let's slide this left foot back. All right, we're switching sides. So right leg goes back. You're on the ball mounds of your right foot. And we're going to glide forward and back, getting a little more stretch into the feet, into the toes, into the calves. And then let's pause. Float the right leg up. Nice big in-breath. And on your exhale, let's step this right foot through between the blocks. And from here, we're going to do that again, where you're shifting forward and then lifting hips up and back. Let's do it one more time, and then we're going to add on this side. So go ahead and lift the hips up and back. All right, let's keep this right foot forward this time. You might inchworm the right foot back so your ankle is underneath your knee and your left hip is over your left knee. So this is what we call proposal pose. It's kind of a 90-90. And then from here, we're going to take the block on the right side off of your mat. And you're going to grab the block that's on the left here, pick it up, come into your sort of unstable, wibble-wobbly, high kneeling position. And we're going to take this block on its tall setting, and you're going to place it to the outside of that left ankle. And then go ahead and lean back, place your hand on that block. All right, we're going to take your right hand to your heart and help kind of guide your heart space open towards the long edge of the mat here on this left side. And then you're going to sweep this right arm up alongside your ear, and we are going to start to play with this idea of reversibility. So from here, it's a nice big in-breath. And on your exhale, turn the heart space to the sky and cactus that right arm. All right, come back to the starting point, and let's do that again. Open the heart space, cactus that right arm. This might be a totally new movement pattern for us. Let's do it one more time. Come to the side, and then open the heart. And then from here, come back into your side stretch. Now we're going to activate a little more of that core. You're going to press your left hand into the block. Start to float yourself up. So core is helping us stabilize as we move through midair. We're moving nice and slow. Slow motion cartwheel, you're going to kind of kiss the earth with that right hand. Plant the left hand and let your right arm go to the sky. All right, now we'll reverse the movement. So start with the right arm. It comes back towards your hip. It's going to kiss the earth. You're going to pick up the left hand, use the core strength again to start to bring yourself all the way back to where we started. Now that might feel a little bit awkward to start with, right? It's a new pattern. Variability for adaptability. Let's play with it. Again, it's a slow motion cartwheel, moving slowly so we can learn the movement. You're kissing the earth with the right hand, planting the left palm, taking right arm to the sky, and then playing with that in reverse, starting with the right hand, kissing the earth, picking up the left hand, and bringing yourself all the way back to your start. Let's do it one more time. Slow motion cartwheel. Kissing the earth with the right, planting the left, right arm to the sky, and then reversing that movement. I'm going to meet you all the way back in that starting point. All right, we're coming forward one last time. And this time, as you plant that left hand, right arm to the sky, let's pause, and we'll actually do what I like to call closing the book. So you're going to bring right hand all the way down. And we'll slide this right foot all the way back. And we'll take a moment to grab our blocks. Take the blocks back underneath your hands. And we're switching sides here. So let's take the left leg back. Yeah, we've been here before. You're going to float the left leg up. You're going to find that nice big in-breath. And you're going to use your exhale to help you step that left foot through. All right, so let's keep the left ankle underneath the left knee. And this time you're going to be taking this block on the left side off of your mat. And we'll start to find our sort of unstable Proposal pose. Don't forget to bring your block with you. Navigate the wibble wobble, right? This might not be that steady. We're going to take the block on its tall setting to the outside of your right ankle, and you're going to lean back and place your right hand on the block. We might find a little more stability with 3 points of contact to the earth, right? Your right hand, your left right leg, and your left foot. All right, let's bring left hand to heart. Start to guide your left hand, right? So you're guiding that heart space open towards the long edge of the mat. And then start to sweep that left arm alongside your ear. And we're going to find this second side, knowing that your body will recognize the pattern the second time around. So there's a nice big in-breath here. And on your exhale, open the heart space, cactus your arm. All right, go back to that starting point. And let's do it again. Open the heart space, cactus your arm. Yes, let's do it again. Come back to your starting point. And cactus the arm. And then I'll meet you back at your starting point. And from here, let's do our slow motion cartwheel, right? Notice that your body recognizes the pattern this time, right? You're going to kiss the earth with the left hand, plant the right palm, left arm to the sky. And then what is it like to reverse this, starting with that left arm? As your fingertips kiss the earth, you're picking up that right arm and you're coming all the way back to your starting point. All right, let's play with it again, moving slowly, right? Learning to own this variable movement pattern. All right, reverse it. All right, let's go one more time forward and back. Right, coming into that sort of twist, reversing the movement pattern. And then the next time that you're in that forward position, where we've planted the right palm, taken left arm to the sky, we'll pause. And from here, you can start to release. Left hand all the way back to the earth, and we'll slide that left foot back. And you can go ahead and take a seat, maybe move these blocks off to the side. And we're going to come all the way back onto the back. And we're going to play with one more movement pattern here on our back. And then we'll close this out. And, I'm going to encourage you to play with this video as many times as we need to, right? Before we move on to the next video, because these are going to increase in challenge as we go. And so we start to feel like we're stronger, we're ready for the next video, then you're going to move on to video 3. But for now, we're going to do a little bit of my favorite, which is rolling around on the floor. You're going to come into your constructive rest. Walk your feet wide, drop your knees in towards center. Let's start by opening the arms out into a T like we did earlier. But this time, rather than that 90-degree angle, you're going to drop your arms at more of a 45-degree angle. I like to call these zombie rollovers. You'll see why here in just a moment. We're going to go nice and slow as we do with these variable movement patterns. And then as we start to get the hang of this, we'll start to speed it up and get a little bit flowy with it. So let's start by dropping your knees over to the left like a windshield wiper. And then you can turn your gaze to the left. And then we're going to roll onto the left side, and you're going to drag this right arm like a deadbeat zombie arm. That's why I call these zombie rollovers. And eventually this right arm, gravity grabs it and brings it to the earth. And then you'll sweep this right arm up alongside your ear. You'll turn the heart space open to the sky, and you'll cactus that right arm. This is as far as we go. So from here, I want you to come back to your starting point. Feet wide, knees towards center, arms are at a 45-degree angle. And we'll take this through to the second side. So let's drop the knees over to the right. And then turn your gaze to the right. And then start to roll to the right and drag this left arm, deadbeat zombie arm. Eventually, gravity comes in, kind of pulls your arm to earth. Sweep that left arm up alongside your ear. Open the heart space. Let's cactus that left arm. And then release the whole thing and come back to your starting point. Okay, totally new movement patterns here. So let's see if we can speed this up a little bit. I'll continue to cue us. Let's go knees to the left, gaze to the left, roll to the left, and drag your right arm. Comes up and over. All right, sweep that right arm up alongside your ear, turn the sternum towards the sky, and let's cactus that right arm. And then bring it all the way back to center. All right, let's go knees to the right, gaze to the right, roll to the right, drag this left arm. Sweep that left arm up alongside your ear, open the heart space, cactus your arm, and release it and come back to your start. All right, let's go ahead and stretch these legs all the way out. Take a nice big sigh, a little breath reset, right? Moving in these new variable ways keeps us pretty alert, right? Keeps the breath pretty active. So as we come down into this place of stillness and steadiness, your body might want to take a nice big breath reset. It's like a nervous system reset. And as we're here, do a little internal gaze through your body, right? So a little interoception, and maybe just feel where you've got a little more vitality in your body, a little more awake, right? A little more energized, a little more integrated and connected. We can feel our hips, our knees, our ankles, our shoulders, our elbows, our hands, our heart space. Check in with that breath again. And again, I've got all these cars going back behind me. I'm sure you've heard them. Arise and fall away. Now we've got some music back there as well. But again, I did want to point out that these are definitely progressive videos in this series, right? Episode 1, part 1, we started pretty much on the floor. And then 2, we're growing a little bit further away from the floor and we're starting to activate a little more of this core strength. So part 3, part 4, they're going to progress a little bit further. We'll end up in these standing positions and we'll be moving through a series of positions forward and a series of positions back. So at any point, feel free to pause at this space, at this level, at this episode, and just kind of practice it over and over and over again until we feel like we've got some ownership of these patterns. All right, I'm going to leave you here and say, salud. Here's to your health.